back again. This is part 4 of about a 7-part series on the resurrection of the just and the rapture of the church, millennialism. The second contention from my book is, if you want to follow in the book, you can. It's much more exhaustive than what I'm giving here. The citations are probably easier to follow too. Contention 2 is that there are 2 resurrections. There's only one resurrection for the just, and there's one for the unjust. We see this in Daniel chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. Again, that would be their Bible, the New Testament Christians' Bible, before they had the canonization of Scripture. And then we see it again, that Jesus mentioned it in John chapter 5, I believe, where he said that don't be amazed, there's going to be a resurrection of the just. I think it says the resurrection of the righteous and a resurrection of the wicked. John in Revelation makes the same point, that this is the first resurrection. Blessed are those who participate in the first resurrection, for the second death, or the resurrection of the unjust, doesn't have any effect or part on them. And finally, this passage I think is the clearest, is Acts chapter 24. In Acts 24, Paul's speaking to a group, and he's being accused, and he says, I don't know why these guys are accusing me, because I have the same hope that they hope for, that our forefathers hoped in. Okay, in Acts 24:15 he says, and we have hope towards God, which they themselves also allow. Okay, so he's saying that the Pharisees believe this too, that there shall be a resurrection of the dead, both of the just and the unjust. And if you look at the language here, the language says that we believe that there shall be a resurrection, which is singular. It's going to be a resurrection of both, which is 2, right? Both. That means one of this and one of that. And it's singular, a resurrection of both of the dead, both of the just and the unjust. So we have 2 resurrections. There's only one resurrection for the just, and there's one for the unjust. Also, one other point that needs to be made is the fact that the resurrection is a singular event. It's as singular as the Messiah, or the Lord, or the God of us. The resurrection is singular. Jesus makes that point in John chapter 11 when speaking of, I am the resurrection and the life. That whole conversation with Martha, she said that, I believe that Lazarus will be raised up in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus also makes the same point when he says that in the bread of life discourse, that I will raise him up at the last day, speaking of a resurrection of the just. Also in 1 Corinthians 15, about verse about verse 51. Let's see. 1 Corinthians 15, 51 and 52. He says, behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed, speaking of those that are dead. And he says, we shall be changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, in a flash, like right now. Boom. And it's not an event that's spread out over a time. It's something that happens, boom, right in a moment. This is one singular event for the just. We are all transformed at this time. It's the regeneration of the outer man. Being born again, the regeneration of the inner man has already taken place. The resurrection is the regeneration of the outer man, and we shall be changed. Philippians 3 says that we'll be changed. Our resurrection will be the same as the Lord's. The resurrection spoken of in Revelation 20 is the same resurrection spoken of in 1 Thessalonians 4, which makes it impossible for there to be tribulation saints, because the tribulation saints, or the people who are put to death by Antichrist, are all raised with those who are alive and remain we're all caught up together in the same resurrection. That will be the next contention.